Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the test review together. Unit 6 test review. So, number 1, calculate the sum of the measures of the interior angles of each of the following polygons. So I have a decagon, which, if we recall, a decagon has n equals 10 number of sides. Okay? So, it's asking me to calculate the sum of the measures of the interior angles. That keyword sum of the measures of the interior angle. So that is basically using this formula here. It's 180 times the quantity n minus 2, where, remember, n means the number of sides, and this n minus 2 is the number of triangles, the number of non-overlapping triangles the figures do have. So in this case, I'm going to plug it in. 180 times, well, that's going to be 10 minus 2. So there are 8 triangles. 180 times 8. And then 180 times 8, if I put that in my calculator, that's going to give me, I'm going to put it over here. That's going to give me 1440 degrees. That's the answer. Okay? And then for this 15gon, number 2, it's going to be the same idea. 180 times, it tells you what, or it tells you how many sides does a 15gon has. It's n equals 15. It's in the name. So it's 180 times the quantity 15 minus 2. So there are 13 triangles in this figure. So if I put this in the calculator, that's going to give me 2340 degrees, 2340 degrees. Okay. So here, let's go ahead and talk about number 3, calculate the measure of one interior angle of a regular polygon. So it's using this formula. Basically, I have the sum of the measure of the interior angles, right? But I only want one interior angle this time. So I take this formula, and then I divide that by n, okay? And I'm talking about a pentagon this time, so that means n equals 5. A pentagon has 5 sides. So, using that formula, it's going to be 180 times 5 minus 2. Divide that by n, which is 5. So, that's 180 times 3. Divide by 5. Well, 180 times 3, that's 540. And then 540 divided by 5. I'm going to put that in my calculator. Getting my calculator right now. So 540 divided by 5. Y'all, that is 108 degrees right there. Okay? So if you're confused about how I calculate that, make sure that you calculate the stuff up top, which is what I did. Leave the denominator alone. And then once you get to this stage, do 540 divided by 5. Okay? Let me go ahead and take a look at number 6. The measure of one exterior angle of a polygon is 30 degrees. How many sides does the polygon have? So what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to read the statement. I'm going to break it down because it's asking, okay, the measure of one exterior angle. And that formula is basically 360 divided by n. Okay, and then is means equals in mathematics. I'm going to put equals 30 degrees. Okay, is 30 degrees. So now I'm going to bring this down. And the question, it says, oh, how many sides does the polygon have? So when I'm saying how many sides, or, you know, the number of sides, I'm representing that as a variable. And we know what variable it uses. It uses the letter n, right? N represents the number of sides. So what I'm going to go ahead and do in this case is solve for n. So there's a variable in the denominator. What I have to do is I need to eliminate that. I gotta take the inverse operation. Since this is 360 divided by n, 360 divided by n, basically what I gotta go ahead and do is, well, what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So I need to multiply both sides by what's in the denominator. Okay? And then in this case, what happens to these two little n's here? Well, they go away. So I am left with just 360 degrees on the left-hand side. And I set that equal to 30 times n, which is just 30n. Then I divide both sides by 30 because I'm trying to solve for n in this case, which in this case is 12, right? So how many sides does the polygon have? Well, it has 12 sides, okay? Number 7, find the measure of the smallest angle of pentagon HJKLM. The measure of the smallest angle is something I need to go ahead and find. So let me go ahead and take a look at this picture. Okay, well, this is a pentagon, and it has, well, n equals 5 sides, okay? And as n equals 5 sides, sorry, I was just trying to look at this just to see if we calculate something. Okay, so unfortunately we didn't calculate the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon. We only calculated the one interior angle of the pentagon. But if we think about it, we actually did calculate the measure, or the sum of the measures. We did calculate the sum of the measures of the interior angles of the regular pentagon, because if we think about it, look, this is basically the sum, and I'm just dividing by the number of sides here. So if we take this, or if I just redo it, I think it's just better if I just redo it. Remember, the sum of the interior angles of a pentagon, right, that is 180 times the number of sides, which is 5 minus 2, and that is 180 times 3, that's 540. So that means that these angles add up to 540 degrees, okay? So what am I supposed to do with these expressions here? Well, it's basically you're gonna combine the like terms. You're gonna add them up and then combine the like terms, and you set that equal to 360. So I have 2x here plus 142 plus 2x plus 3x plus 14 plus 3x plus 14. And then I'm going to set all of these things together by that 540 that we calculated. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine the like terms. So I'm going to combine the x's and the regular numbers together. So the ones in red I'm going to combine first. So 2x plus 2x plus 3x plus 3x. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. So I actually have 10 x's. Then I'm going to combine our constants. So 142 plus 14 plus 14. That is 170. And I set that equal to 540. Okay, so 540. And now I'm going to do my algebra. I get 10x is equal to 370. So x is 37. Right, so x is 37. I'm not done though, because I gotta find the measure of the smallest angle. And the smallest angle, just by looking at it, it should be this here. It's the smallest expression that I know. So I'm gonna do 2 times 37, and that's gonna give me 54 degrees. Okay, so that's number 7. Let's go ahead and figure out this. Given the following parallelogram, A, B, C, D, and that's in that order. That's how you're supposed to write the parallelogram or draw the parallelogram. Solve for x and find the measure angle D. So we can assume that this figure is a parallelogram, so it has all those properties: opposite sides congruent, opposite angles congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary. If one angle is right, then everything else is right. And then I think Is there one more? Diagonals bisect each other, right? So, in this case, we see that the expressions are inside, so those are the angles. And these angles here are opposite to each other, so that means set them equal to each other. So then I get 72 equals 13x. Now I'm just doing the algebra, I'm solving for x here. And that should give me 4x, okay? So x is equal to 4, and know this is not a trick question. It's asking to find measure angle D. Know that there is no expression for measure angle D. So your best bet is to plug into one of these expressions here. Okay, I'm gonna choose this one because it looks easier. So measure angle C is 25 times 4 plus 20, and that's gonna give me 120 degrees there. Okay, so ignore this now, we don't need this. It's 120 degrees. Okay, so what really is the measure angle D? I'm trying to figure out this angle here. Okay, so if you recall, one of the properties of a parallelogram is that the consecutive angles are supplementary. So these angles must add up to 180 degrees. So if I have part of my 180, what really is left over? So I'm just going to do 180 minus 120 degrees, which is 60 degrees, and that's the answer to measure angle D. That's 60 degrees. Okay, so that is the first page of the Unit 6 test review.